you can't give away what's not yours. So if you have community property, your spouse is entitled to half of that, and you can't give that other spouse's half away. That's their decision. So we've seen this where in this situation, it wasn't like anything untoward. It was like an accident.
It was an accident.
But sometimes people will say, I want my kids to have my entire IRA. I don't want it to go to my spouse. But if that IRA was earned from earned money during your marriage, there's a community property interest in it. And you can't give away your spouse's share of the community property or their half of the IRA.
Right.
Obviously, that can get very complicated. We're just going to stick with the high level conversation about that, because we don't do the math that family law attorneys do to figure out exactly how much interest everybody has. That's not math we do. We just need to make sure things add up to 100%. So that's the big part that we are concerned about.
Right. And I mean, an important point to sort of infer from that is this is not just important in terms of how we write a trust or a will. There's lots of other ways that people leave assets or give assets to people. So there are IRAs, there are life insurance policies. You cannot make somebody other than your spouse the 100% beneficiary of a life insurance policy. If that policy was paid for with community property, your spouse owns 50% of that death benefit.
What if you have a bank account that's just in your name and you put a beneficiary on it, but that money was your income during your marriage?
Your wages. Yeah, same thing. So this can present itself in all kinds of contexts, not just when you're sitting in your attorney's office planning out a trust or a will. But that's what we do. So we're going to talk about that too. We have clients who will come in and say, you know, this is really funny to me. I've said this many times before, second marriage, and they come in to do estate planning together for the first time because it's so common. They've been married 8 to 10 years. That's the time frame that I see literally, half the time when a blended family is coming in. It's like, okay, I guess this second marriage is going to work. Now we'll do estate planning. So they come in, oh, I had this when we got married. I had that when we got married. And now we have this together, separate community. But as we talked about last time, it's not that clear.
People will come in and tell us what their community and separate property is. But unfortunately, as we discussed in the first episode, the character is something that's born by its definition. When you acquired it, how you acquired it, that determines whether it's community or separate property. Not you, unfortunately. However, you can change that character. So you do have the option to do that. Not in our office.
Right. We don't do that. So changing the character of an asset, in other words, pointing to that asset and saying, this is my separate property, but I want it to be community property. That's called transmutation. Transmutation means change.
Right.
And you can do that. First of all, it has to be in writing. It has to be in a writing signed by the person who is impacted by that. So if you're changing your separate to community, the person whose separate property it was is the one who has to sign it. If you're doing the opposite, going community to separate, then both spouses really need to sign that. But Anyway, so you can change it. And sometimes that makes sense for tax reasons or just for marital reasons. You want that for your spouse.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.